Welcome everybody, I am Chef AJ. You are here with another episode of Weight Loss Wednesdays. Hi everybody, so I am Chef AJ today, the better looking version. I am going to make a roasted three chili salsa. This is something that AJ asked me to do because she hasn't been able to duplicate the recipe, so I'm going to give my best attempt at it. This is something I normally do a similar version of it. So as you can see here, what we have is some quartered Roma tomatoes. So this is 4 quarter Roma tomatoes. I have 4 cloves of garlic, and I have a half onion which I sliced in like a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch rounds. And then over here we're also going to use some dried chilies. Over here I have some guajillo chilies, 4. So it's a 4-4-4 kind of thing. I have 4 pasilla chilies. And we're only going to do 2 of these because these are the spicy ones. These are the arbol chilies. And what happens with chilies is as they go from fresh to dried, they change names. So these are actually poblanos. This is your chile relleno type in the fresh form. And these are the serrano chilies, the green chilies. Typically, the smaller the chili, the spicier it is. And I'm going to show you this real quick here on the counter. Usually, all you do is you take the stem, and I just open up the top and drain out all the seeds. And this, of course, goes in the trash. Some people do use the seeds. I always like taking them out, so that would all be trash. And what we're going to do is, forgot my other bat here. So Chef AJ here, my sister from another mister, has these cool sort of soap pad / trays that go right in the oven. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the tomatoes, onions, and the garlic in here, and we're going to put them in the air fryer oven. Now, Chef AJ.
What do you mean? I'm Chef Bravo.
Chef Bravo. These go right into the...
It goes right in. It's just like a soap pad, but it's sturdy.
Okay, cool. So we have this going at roast, 400 degrees, 15 minutes or so. And all I'm trying to do is get a char on them. So we're going to give it about 15 minutes. And I'll pause this for a second. Within the last minute, that's when I'm going to add the dried chilies to the oven as well. So these also have to roast to, we're going to get more flavor out of these. But these, if we left these in there for 15 minutes, what will happen is we would burn them because they're, there's hardly any moisture on these because they're already dried. So the wet stuff, the fresh tomatoes and onions and garlic, will be in there for about 15. This will be in for that last minute or so. And then we'll come back and we'll put it all together for you. And the idea is that this gives you a very flavorful, oil-free salsa, which again, this fits perfectly into the Weight Loss Wednesdays to get a lot of flavor into your vegetables or the rice or whatever the case may be. You could do this with tomatillos also, so you could make a green version of this. You don't necessarily have to have dried chilies. It could also be fresh jalapenos, fresh serrano chilies. When they go to dried, the flavor changes. Not better, not worse, not spicier or less spicy. It's just a different flavor. That's why I'm guessing that's why they always change names when they go from fresh to dried, because it really just becomes a different chili. But with salsa, there is no right or wrong. You could go all fresh, you could do some fresh and some dried, all sorts of ways. But the idea is that we're not going to use any oil in this, so that you have a really nice, flavorful salsa to add to your meals. So again, we're going to turn this on and then we'll come back once it's all roasted. All right, so our tomatoes and chilies are done. I actually, just so you guys know, I put in the tomatoes another 5 minutes. So the tomatoes, onions, and garlic were in there for a total of 20 minutes. The dried chilies were only there for about a minute. And so you can see, even after a minute, you see the dried chilies kind of rose really quickly. You can see how dark that is on the one that on the side that was facing up. Same with this guy. So they really don't need a whole lot of time. Now I'm gonna put the dried chilies down first, and I'll tell you why in just a second. And also I had to change jackets because the other one was a little tight around the waist. So I'm gonna put the dried chilies in first. I'm gonna try to break them up a little bit. And now I'm gonna pull out the tomatoes. Let's see. Tomatoes, onions, and garlic here, and you can see that nice roasted, slight roasted look. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let those juices from the tomatoes run down on the chilies, so that it starts to kind of hydrate them a bit. And this is something you can do This is something you can do once you have the stuff in your Vitamix. I'm just gonna pulse it a little bit, and the idea is so that give the chilies just a little bit of time so that they sort of suck in some of the moisture, and that they just kind of soak. So you could just sort of leave that alone and just let it sort of marinate within itself for 5 minutes. What'll happen is sometimes the chilies are really dry. And if you're trying to make this really quick and you're trying to make it really smooth, the chilies just will not blend completely because they're so dry. So if you allow them about 5 minutes to soak in some of the moisture from the tomatoes, then you can get it really nice and blend it up. But I like seeing specks in my salsa. I think it gives it a better visual look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish it now. All right. And I'm going to check for flavor here. I'm also going to check for consistency. So this is it came out fairly thick, as you can see, fairly thick and chunky, which I happen to like. If this happens to be too thick for you, go ahead and add just a little bit of vegetable broth. And if you still feel like it needs to be a little bit runnier, then just a little bit more broth. The worst thing you could do is add too much broth and now it's too liquidy and then you can't get it out. So just a little bit at a time. I'm talking like maybe 2 tablespoons at a time. This is good. I think you'll like this. So I was talking to the real Chef AJ, and I told her, as she was looking at this recipe, just said, throw everything in the oven and get it slightly roasted. And I think what was happening is she was throwing in the chilies in together at the same time, and thus burning them. So I think that this is more in line. I know you probably like this a little bit smoother, AJ. But here, give it a taste.
It almost tastes like chocolate in a weird way. I can't explain it.
Is that more like what you were used to?
The flavor's really good. I would like it a little smoother for me,
Okay.
but I love it. I mean, the flavor is spot on.
Okay, so I think that's what it was. You were throwing in the chilies maybe
Yeah.
And
my God.
so this with a little bit of rice with some steamed vegetables on top of a baked potato, or even a Chef AJ's favorite roasted sweet potato, because that would be the sweetness together with the spiciness. If you like spicier salsa, throw in a couple more of the arbol chilies. So where it would be 4444 instead of 442. But yeah, I think
No, that has enough of a kick. I mean, for me and Charles, but it's delicious. I would like it just a tad smoother because I like more of a sauce than a...
for me, it's not spicy enough, but you know, that's just me. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this episode of Weight Loss Wednesdays. I am Chef Bravo, subbing in for Chef AJ. I really hope you get a chance to make this, and our best wishes of joy and health to you.